TCG, they're on 350 points, but they're nowhere near the enemy lord. They can't contest this, they have to defend.
Chills! That's a brilliant chill from Freylina. It slows them. That could actually save the lord, but there's so much damage going on to him at the moment. Can I get a target? No, I can't.
It's incredibly low anyway. It's down to about a third of its HP. They're trying to heal it up. They're trying to protect it. But look at the health bars of Car Crash. They're winning out this fight. The Lord is still at just a third of his HP. And they're just desperately trying to finish him off. It looks like they're going to be able to do it. The Lord is finished. And Car Crash take the first game in this series.
Freylina is dropping quite low as well, but he pulls out his Herald heal. Conditions are mounting up though, and he's going to be absolutely wrecked here if he doesn't get out of the point. Helseth is mowed as well, which means they can bring the focus, but Asura is here to bring support and survival to the team, and that's really good survival and good movement from Asura as well.
Denshi as well though is going to go into downstate, and if they can finish off Denshi, this is going to be massive. Posey finishes him off, and it's going to be able to just roll away from that one. So long as Posey survives, this is fantastic. Another stillness comes through for TCG, and with two caps, Car Crash are running out of time unless they get a decap right this second. They are going to lose out. 2 more seconds are going to be enough for TCG to just edge the victory right there. But Darker over towards the midpoint, however, will not be going on for a substantial amount of time. Honey as well in the downstate, and this is looking like a one fight towards this midpoint. Viper doing his best to just keep it neutral as much as he can.
And Orange Logan, he needs to pick up this kill to really bounce them into the rest of the map. And Syndra is just going full ham. He wants to try and get the extra damage onto Demon. He gets the interrupt, and that's a great play from Demon. Just to interrupt it momentarily.
You cannot escape from a Revenant. It's just not happening when you're that low and out of cooldowns. And Sage here, very low, but should be able to counter around just for a little bit longer. But he's against 2 people right now and will end up getting taken down. A nice thunderclap denies him getting close to Skovo, who's trying to get there to save him.
We can see a portal coming out from Oracle with the movement over towards the waterfall. Sling going down as well. Smash with no points on the board at the moment. And rank 55 Dragons really dominating hard at the moment.
This is how you start off a game right now. Rank 55 Dragons already with a 2 cap. Baines went down elsewhere on the map, and actually CanScout looking to try and capture the mine. Does get interrupted in the end, but look over towards the middle point. Posey, completely uncontested, gets the gate, and it's Car Crash back in control of the map again.
Zeromus and Bob over on the side of Final Form who are in this fight, getting extremely low. Bob gets taken down. Zeromus getting healthy again. It looks like they're going to try for the res, and it's stuck at 99%, and it's going straight down. They're trying again. Doesn't look like there's too much pressure on it, and he comes back up, and a lot of damage comes out. Ozzy in trouble a little bit here as he gets brought down as well. PZ might be winning this one.
Going for the Lord. Urantian has no cooldowns available. Celestial Avatar available in a couple seconds here. He needs to hold on. He cannot go down. That would be game. If so, he is going to be taken into the downstate. They pick up this kill. That will be game. They are started the Lord, but that's not going to be happening. That will be game.
Ostrich taking a lot of heat. Doesn't have the ability to go for his heal quite yet. Getting extremely low. Reaper Shroud now down to about 4-second cooldown. So he might be able to, with the support of Zor, who's on him, get back into that Reaper Shroud. Although, look at his health pool. He didn't go into Reaper Shroud. He tried to get that elite casted, and it did not go off. He got blinded and interrupted. So now he is going to be going down. Zor going to be going down as well. And already Astral setting themselves up with that that kill, those 2 kills that they really need to start snowballing this map like we know they're capable of doing. And there is that 3rd one. Looks like we're going to be seeing Zerko there as well on the Druid, trying to put some support down, but he's already extremely low from the pressure from these casters.
But that Lord's at 60% HP right now. 1 minute remaining. There's the decap over at the quarry. Schnicky trying to boost the process forward. They might pick up the kill. He's sitting at 30% HP. All they have to do is hold on to the waterfall, get the Lord kill. We could see Gems and Tonic take this. It's so low. 10% HP. If they take this, they will take the game. But there's the
rebounds on it as well.
Oh my goodness, Cass keeping him alive. They are 10 points away from victory. 40 seconds remaining. I don't think the kill's coming out here. This could be a kill. Devil the miss. 4. Are they able to do it?
2. They take it. 504 to 498. Hazard, as he's now about 30% outside of Reaper. A lot of condies. Look at the condition pressure on him, and actually gets interrupted on the Executioner's side. So he's going to be taking extremely low. Is he going to be able to get his heal off? Not quick enough. Sunfish getting that stomp off for his team, and a 2 cap in favor of Neverlucky.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the first On Point of the second half of the season. I am Jebro, if you don't know me. I cast for EU, and Heurix is with me this evening, casting for NA. How are you, sir, after this break? Good.
Pretty good, man. Suffering a little bit with just moved. Got some well, waiting on new internet, which is why I suffered a little bit. But other than that, pretty good, man.
We have actually both moved. as a note, we both moved like within the same 2 weeks. So you notice like different surroundings, no poster on the back of the wall behind Heurix either of random people or sloths. It's unfortunate, man. I'm sad. But anyway, yes. New patch has happened, new update, new potential. We have Helseth and we also have Paul of Team PZ who will be joining us in about 5 minutes or so as well. So we're going to be talking about that. So obviously you want to stick around to make sure that you're going to be able to hang out and know exactly what's going on. So let's give you a little bit of an update of what happened in week 4. Obviously, just to give you some updated information about EU specifically, is that Cargrash have pretty much been told they are not able to participate in Pro League anymore, and also Frostball as well, because of issues that occurred. What occurred, Heurix?
Without getting into too much detail, some stuff went down. Cargrash made a very, very poor decision. And, you know, unfortunately had to pay the consequences, as well as a player from Vermilion, Frostball, who recently had just gone over to that team, coming off a trade from, or not really a trade, a move, rather, from Orange Logo. So, unfortunately, those guys are going to have to, you know, suffer the consequences of the actions that they decided to take. But, yeah, Cargrash is now out, and as such are going to be 0-7 for the rest of the season, and everybody else is going to have that free victory in their pocket. So it feels good for everyone else, man.
Yeah, exactly. I noted that in the chat you have said the Heurix is quite low, so I'm just turning up now. Sorted. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got happy birthday gifts of, you know, some nice pointage. I've left the results as they are on the screen because obviously TCG will win that 2-0. Vermilion versus Purple Noise, rank 55 Dragon series, pretty much standard, what we were expecting. More Guns Than Roses obviously versus a depleted Orange Logo as well, probably somewhat expected, but still probably one of the most exciting series of the night actually, because of what was being played by Syndranir and Target, sorry. And yeah, we saw something special from those guys. Obviously, you know, something we may potentially see more from Syndranir in the rest of the season, but we'll have to wait and see. And then, you know, obviously that game series between Cargrash and Orange Logo. Orange Logo will actually win that 2-0, as Cargrash have been demoted completely. So all the previous games that they've played and won, and any games that they've taken off of anyone have been taken away. Score difference has been changed as well, and that will be reflected in the results when we come to that in a bit. So that's pretty much what happened in EU. NA-wise, first series, didn't we agree that we thought that Final Form would take this? Do you remember? We felt that they might be able to take this, right?
Yeah, I think that Final Form probably... I think we both said 2-1 Final Form.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we thought that PZ would win on Legacy and Final Form would take the other maps, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Turns out PZ played way better on that map, so they wound up taking that 2-0, and they did really, really well throughout that series, beating Final Form, which is something that Never Lucky definitely wanted to see, as they had already lost to Final Form.
Yeah.
And now for that kind of weird setup, which now has another kind of interesting take as well, of that second place, first place, you know, who's going to be going to the finals. Never Lucky like to see that, because now if they beat PZ 2-0, which is going to be a hard fight for them, it's not looking very likely, at least in my opinion at the moment, but if they manage to pull that off, then they have a shot, as well as Easy Peasy, who is still sort of actually in the running if they can manage to beat out Never Lucky and Final Form, and PZ actually beating Astral. So it's one of those things that could be kind of like really... It can be really weird at the end of the season, man. It could be really weird. But nonetheless, match 2, Astral completely dominating Easy Peasy. Jims and Tonic in match 3. As we saw actually in the highlight, extremely, extremely cool, very close match. One of the craziest endings to a Legacy match that I can remember since actually Car Crashed. I don't remember. I think at that point they were Vengeance of the Fallen, and I think that you casted it. is that the same Lord, and they won with literally a half-second left, I think, to tie the game up.
Yeah.
And then won off a personal score, I think is what happened.
Oh, God.
They killed the Lord and I think got personal score. But I'm just saying, like, it was extremely close, that matchup. Then the second game, they wound up beating Spooky as well. And then in match 4, Never Lucky beating E-Dream in the first match, and then E-Dream actually having one of their players, Eternity, leaving, and then they had to forfeit the second one. So Never Lucky wound up taking a 2-0 there as well.
Not having a massive amount of fun, those guys. Yeah, Vengeance of the Fallen, man.
Yeah.
Well, name past. That's a blast from the past right there, indeed. Jesus, they were a good team. Good guys.
A little history lesson for everyone, you know.
Jesus, I mean, one day just going to have to go. Didn't make a video of all the old teams that have been around, all the people that have kind of been together in different teams as well. Be kind of interesting. So we've got on our screen right now the EU leaderboard. So right now, guys, you could obviously we've only had 4 weeks of competition so far, but I have put in the table results basically of Car Crash's losses. So you can see that there are some teams that have got 5 games played, which is why Vermilion TCG looks a little bit messed up. They are currently second because they have a series with Car Crash in the future, so they've been given those 3 points. Same with Purple Noise in the future as well. And there we go, we got more Guns N' Roses as well. So Car Crash are 8th. That means the minimum the other teams will be able to get to is going to be 7th position. So good for them, not so great for Car Crash, of course. And obviously this next 3 weeks is going to determine who we get to see in the finals. Obviously, rank 55 Dragons being pretty bloody strong at the moment. Vermilion losing to a 3rd position TCG there. And More Guns having a pretty good season, as well as Purple Noise, actually, to be fair, who obviously finished last season, and getting right up there in joint 4th position. Only difference is score difference at the moment in terms of games taken against those teams. So, NA-wise, NA is looking really interesting, actually, at the moment, with PZ top score difference again.
Yeah, so the very, very interesting thing at this point is that, of course, Astral, Team PZ tied up 4-0 on the season right now. The exact same 2 teams that we saw going into the season finals last season, still looking strong right now. Although this time around, there's still it's one of those weird races where, I mean, a lot relies on how these teams perform going on the rest of the season. Where, I mean, Final Form still can make it in. Never Lucky can still make it in. Easy Peasy can even make it in at this point, which is like probably weird to everybody who's listening, but it's certainly a possibility given the right circumstances and the right things panning out, but still could be a thing. So there's 5 teams that could potentially make it in, whereas with EU, I feel like it's very much kind of rank 55 and TCG at this point who will probably be making it. So I think it's very different in that regard.
And if you have just logged in and you're thinking, what are you talking about? Because the standards, that's because of future games that we will also talk about in the coming weeks, as well as tonight with Helseth, who is, of course, from TCG. So, since I talked about him and mentioned his name, let's go over to myself, Heurix, and also Helseth and Paul from Team PZ, who I don't think we've ever had on a stream or a cast or anything before. So, welcome to you, Paul, as well.
Hello.
Helseth, obviously a little bit less of a stranger to Twitch, and
Sorry. I'm just analyzing Heurix's beard. It's not bad. It's not bad. It suits you. Not bad.
Good. Beautiful.
Appreciate it, man.
Got to analyze the important things. That's what we're here for.
So, we have 3 games left, 3 series left actually for the rest of the season before we go into Pro League finals. We've just had a massive update for the game, 19th of April, of course, which has nerfed some things, made things, potentially stay stronger, however you want to say it. I think really the main question that most people have is, and I don't know whether or not this gives a lot of weight from your team or not, but what you feel are maybe the top classes or builds at the moment at the top, so we can say, go down. I don't know if you want to talk about your comps really as well, so it's up to you whether or not you want to do that. But maybe what you feel is going to be the 2 or 3 main strong classes and the pickups along with that. Does that make sense?
All right, Paul. Considering that this is your first time on the big stage on the on the Jebro show, I'm gonna let you get your feet wet. Go ahead.
All right. So clearly, the number one class, in my opinion, or the tied for number one would be Revenant or Connie Mesmer. Like, those are gonna be in every single team, pretty much. Like, if you're not using one of those two classes, like, you're probably making a mistake. In all honesty. And then I think from there you're very likely to see at least a Druid or an Ellie. Like, one of those two is definitely going to be in each team. And then I think it's really just a toss-up from there. Like, you'll see plug and play from each team. Like, I think Thief is very good, but it just depends. Like, do you have a Thief player? Like, that's the very important part of actually playing a Thief, is you have somebody who's good enough to actually do it.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, like I think Necro is still perfectly fine, despite the nerfs. And I think NG's struggling now, though. I think that's like the biggest thing right now, is NG is struggling really hard to keep itself in.
We're seeing, like, because obviously, Slick Shoes nerf for the extra cast time on heal and whatnot, which was like 0.25 seconds, but was still massive. Like, you get interrupted a hell of a lot more, even in unranked games. But I think that build is changing into like this gyro kind of more tanky sustain build in terms of getting stability and super speed through final salvo and whatnot as well. But still, like you say, it is maybe weaker than it was before. So same question to Helseth, obviously. Yeah. Your thoughts or disagreements or agreements with Paul?
So I'll rephrase what he said. And he said there are two really strong classes right now. In my opinion, there are three good classes. There's the Revenant, which is obviously always going to be Revenant at this point. There's the Connie Mesmer, and then there's the Druid. So these classes are good. And what I mean with good is they can kind of contest each other in a sense. Like, the Revenant is good in 2v2s. Well, it's good in everything. Has damage enough to kill just about anything. And while it doesn't have the 1v1s, it has literally everything else you would need in a class. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Connie Mesmer obviously has ridiculous 1v1s, and he has the Mo and the Portal, which just automatically makes it top tier as well. And Druid has like a global chart of 1v1 matchups that are really good. It's amazing in 2v2s, and it's honestly really underrated in teamfight as well. So you basically have these classes that are really good. And then, because we have these rules right now where we can't class stack, I believe that if you could class stack, these would basically be the only classes that were played. But at this point, since you can't class stack, you're going to have to pick up two bad classes. And right now, Ellie is a good class, but I don't know if Ellie is actually something you want to pick up, because Ellie doesn't actually counter anything. It doesn't really counter any of the good classes.
Especially if they're not using a Necro.
Yeah, exactly. That's Necro used to be a good class. And it went like two ways. You needed an Ellie to deal with a Necro, and you also, your Necro got really buffed by having an Ellie. And now both of these are kind of iffy, so you're kind of forced to take two really bad classes. And which of these bad classes you pick is kind of up to you. You basically want to fill a niche, which these can do, or you want to have something that's safe, which like NG, for instance, can do. You know, like NG, while it's not good anymore, it's not
horrible.
Not gonna, yeah, exactly. So there's basically those ideas. Like, it's the weirdest meta we've actually had, because whenever there's been a meta like this, where there's clearly only this class you really want, then it would usually mean that you just stack them to endlessly. You'd have even the 3-4 Ellie teams back in the day. Now we don't have that.
I remember.
We have people forced to play weird classes. Yeah. And while they're not like horrible, like in comparison to the good classes, they're really bad, like.
So you're talking about there is a big, even though exactly like you said, there's that big gap when what you choose is going to be really influential on the day, obviously. But maybe there's going to be a difference in between, depending on who you pick up. If you pick up like an Ellie and an NG, you're going to have a lot more sustain. Obviously, you go for the Thief. And the NG, you've obviously got more damage, but we saw the
an absolutely incredible analysis. Ellie NG is more tanky than the NG.
But it's just a simple example. It's exactly.
Of On Point. I'll stop.
You know what I mean? It's just basic information. It's okay. You're allowed to take the piss. We'll allow it. But I mean, do you want to say what you're going to pick up, or is that just not going to happen?
Nonsense. Don't be silly. We'll use 5 Ellies. How about that? That's what you get.
You won't be able to walk out the door.
That's what you get for that question.
Okay, fair enough. But PZ not using, didn't use an Ellie in the fourth series you played in Pro League. Is that right, Paul?
Did they play a good team?
That's correct.
They
Yeah.
haven't played in LA.
They haven't played an Ellie all season.
Did they play good teams?
Hmm.
Oh, did you
Final
play
Well,
Form was
Final
a very
Four.
You
competitive
be your
match.
friend, you know, we can be honest. Tell me. Did you
Final
play any
Form
good
was a
teams?
very competitive match.
Yeah,
so
Final
I'd
Form,
say
I
that
would
was
say-
where
I
we
would
were
say is a
really
good team.
tested.
Right. So if you had an Ellie, would Final Form be a competitive match?
If we had an LA, well,
Yeah.
I'd say just because we never practiced with it, it would have been a lot closer than it was.
So he's basically saying that he would win easy with Ellie. That's the end of the discussion there.
But the biggest thing that helped them in against Final Form is the same thing that they've done to a lot of teams, where teams just kind of fall for trying to finish fights out for a long period of time, and they rotate out and just win off of rotations, whereas the Ellie would probably force them to stick around in those fights longer. They might not have had the same success because of that.
That's weird. I would imagine in my head that it would be the other way around. Like, if you're losing a fight, the Ellie can bunker it, while the other people split off. If you lack the Ellie, shouldn't it be the other way around?
I think Final Form stayed in fights a lot more. They actually just, I think, you know, like Heurix said as well, to a degree, remembering it, I think, on the fourth series, the fourth week specifically, is the fact that, you know, they literally did kind of just stay in the same place, and like PZ kind of just rotated around them.
I guess I have
around
to look at
these
the
bigger
game to see.
fights.
But
It
in my
was-
hand, if you're winning a game, if you're winning a fight and the enemy team did not have an Ellie in the last meta, you should be able to capitalize off that better than if they didn't have an Ellie.
That's why I
I'd
think
say
me and
the
Heurix thought that.
main thing that was happening with us is I think I just personally played Druid like differently, and like my team plays around Druid very well than like most other teams do, and we just have very good success with me and Java, our 2v2, 2v3s, stuff like that. Like, we're very adept, we've practiced it a lot, and we have like good strategies revolving around it, so like you'll see that combo be like a mainstay in our games. And that's just
The old,
you know,
the old Java on point turret, getting that Druid off point heal, man. See that a lot.
yeah, something like that. We plan on doing that. It's part of what we do, and I'm not saying teams are necessarily making mistakes. I think they're just like overestimating. Well, I guess they are making mistakes. They're just overestimating like what they can close out,
Apparently Paul has
and
a
they
dog.
can't close it out well enough. So
Okay, so God, I would love to just, I would love to have had this show just after, you know, some games and series, just to have a look at, you know, the FIFA and whatnot as well. So in your opinion, like, FIFA is more viable now, of course, due to the fact, you know, that some classes are obviously out of the meta, they're not as strong as they were. If it
I
was
would say FIFA
more...
is infinitely better now than it was before. Not like
Yeah.
not even close. Like, it used to be basically a liability. I'd feel better not having a thief than. And
It
what I
wasn't
mean
even
that,
basically a liability, it was a liability.
yeah,
before.
right. Like, I don't mean like I would want any other class on thief. I would legitimately want my thief to AFK my base, because then at least the opponents would be like, maybe he's going to decap or something, and they're playing around that, so they're not feeding 5 points off him and getting bloodlust stacks or whatnot.
I knew
Like-
you would have said that. I knew you were going to say that. Point.
What's up? Basically, the point of the thief being weak in last metagame was the fact that he had no real capabilities of outnumbering. It couldn't outnumber Ellies, it couldn't really outnumber Mesmers, it's still pretty
NGs.
bad at outnumbering Mesmers to a certain... And exactly, NGs in particular, thieves would legit die 1v2ing scrappers, you know?
Reflex
Like,
and stuff.
yeah, they had no chance whatsoever at attacking NGs. So they had no outnumber potentials, they don't have any 1v1 potentials, they get trained down by Revenants that go Retribution, and it's just... They didn't have any possibilities. Now, however, if the Scrapper rotates out of the meta, then you'll have some class that is weaker to getting outnumbered by Thief. Like, anything. Well, let's say the enemy team doesn't have an Ellie, which some teams are looking at now, right? So you don't have the Ellie. That means that the Thief all of a sudden has way better outnumber potential across the map. Even a team fight it can outnumber, where the Ellie would usually be. So Thief's definitely infinitely better than before. It hasn't gotten that much stronger. It's still, quotes, a bad class. But it's a bad class that can do stuff, you know? It can stealth, it can decap, it can outnumber, which is
I mean,
better.
with
Yeah, sorry.
with Druid becoming a staple, though, I feel like if more teams are picking up Druid and stuff like that, Thief does become infinitely better in that regard as well,
Yeah,
because Thief can lock it down.
Yeah, Thief has a lot more +1 capabilities in general.
I mean, we saw on Saturday, like, the mid-season invitational tournament. Obviously, it's a little bit different because it's a little bit more for fun and, like, just everyone's just chilling out.
It's not for fun. It's business. Otherwise, PC wouldn't drop out. What happened there?
Well,
maybe you don't.
We don't have to talk about that.
No,
but maybe we can later. But the Thief Rev combinations, which were very exciting to watch. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched. I'm pretty sure Heurix did. Obviously, Paul was around, and I know probably people in chat did as well. But you know, I remember casting Thieves back in the day, and how much excitement they just added just through the sheer, you know, map presence and +1ing and be able to get some nice burst on the map. That excitement was brought back on the weekend, which is really, I hope, something we might see for the rest of the season.
People always do this, and when the patch hits, they always look at the most aggressive option because they try to make that work. But because of the nature of Conquest and whatnot, it usually always changes into a slower metagame.
Right.
Not saying that that's for sure that'll happen now, because you have this weird stuff with the slower classes might not just be good enough. But that's generally always historically what's happened to Guild Wars. It's never gravitated to a more aggressive meta for a long time.
That's very true. That's very true. I don't think PZ are going to pick that up, are they, Paul? You're going fine with the comp you have, right?
Nothing's off the table right now.
Nothing's off the
I
table.
think nothing's off the table. But at the same time, I think we're likely to play a very similar comp to what we were playing before.
Okay.
I do personally think Thief is like very good. Like, if you play him right in a competitive environment, like a top competitive environment, I think Thief is like might even be like part of the best comp that you could run right now.
And Muffins is a good Thief. It's just I don't know if you guys have the ability to move things around to where you guys would be just as strong in your composition to have him move over and then replace what was lost, because having him on Mesmer is also just as good, you know.
It's a good point, actually. That's a good question for Playday 7, because it's PZ versus Astral Authority. I mean, if they would roll a Thief in terms of Magic Toker, obviously, compared to whether or not they do that, obviously, is another thing. But just imagine they did. Would you want him, Muffins? Is it Muffins who would be on Thief in that, you know, versus, you know, say Magic Toker who is on a Thief as well? Because obviously, ridiculous. Like again, we sort of reminded about how good Magic Toker is on Thief on Saturday. I mean, you know, your comp the way it is right now, it would probably be doing a better job against them, I guess, anyway. But obviously, that's something you guys...
Well, the thing is in order for them to do that, they have to have someone move over to Revenant. And right now, Chaith has to learn Revenant if they decide to move off of that NG. That a lot of people are saying is something that they're struggling with. There's also talk of maybe Nos going to Druid as well, of course.
That's right.
I mean, he's probably streaming it a lot. But
that Druid, Nos, if you're watching this, please don't that's the worst Druid I've seen in my life.
But the thing is, here's the thing. They also have, on their ESL Play account, they have Trackful, who previously played for Apex, and I believe he actually played for them in the MSI as well. Trackful can play Revenant, but it's the question
he can
of,
play
are
Revenant.
they going to...
He can play Revenant.
It's the question of, are they going to use him, and does that mean that they're going to have to be benching Chaith and putting him to sub for that matchup for them to be able to utilize that composition? And that also depends on what they are going to be putting for that 5th slot as well, where is Nos going to play Necro, is Nos going to play Druid, like what's going to happen, are they going to switch things around entirely, like what the scenario would be is completely open at this stage. That's the thing.
I mean, looking at their team on the ESL site, I'm assuming that Trackstar is Trackful. He's in their sub list. He's in their player list, so it's a possibility. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Just running in for that Monday, and then in the finals, 5 gauge will have enough time to reroll, I hope. Voila.
Yeah, I mean, Chaith is a really solid player. I think he's probably one of the better NGs right now. There's discussion about like who the best NG is right now in NA, although it doesn't really have that much value given the fact that NG has been perhaps pushed out a little bit. But you know, people are talking about Chaith, of course, as one of those guys, and I think that there's there's something to it, but I think that he might be able to bring that over to Revenant because it's not like Revenant is super difficult, guys. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. It's not that crazy of a concept to like understand and be able to perform with, you know. So it's certainly possible that Shade is able to re-roll in that time frame because it's a month away from now, you know.
I mean, it's more about, it's not obviously like you say the skills. It's more about the map awareness and presence and where you're matching up with, and also your teammates, obviously. And where
That depends on how you play the Rev. You could just play it as an outright fighter, and then there's no rotational difficulties around it.
Yep.
When you have as much mobility and as many good matchups as the Rev does, you're not limited to like, you know, Thief has to create plays all the time with its own rotations and whatnot. But when you have something with a good matchup spread, the rotation becomes easier.
So,
and alternatively, you can also just end the you can just pen the Revenant on the Thief anyways, and he can just rotate on Toker, who's arguably one of the best thieves in terms of rotation anyways. So you could easily do that as well. There's a lot of options for them, so it's certainly not something that they're going to be hurting with at all.
I mean,
just coming down to the decision.
True. We did.
I think if you run a Thief, it's different though. If you run a Thief, the Rev has to learn to rotate.
Okay. So different situations according to the team, obviously, and the comp you're going to pick for the rest of the season, and depending on what's strong or not. But I mean, it's interesting maybe to think about, you know, rank 55 and maybe what they would do as well, because we know that Texby is probably not too sad about the fact that he, you know, we've got no Necro around anymore. Will we see Levin switch to Thief, and will we see Texby playing Rev? You know, these things are possible, not known specifically, and obviously if we do know, then we're not going to say it right now. But you know, there is potential for some big changes to occur as well. You know, I mean, Vermilion as well. You know, RG, the main name in that team, saying that he would consider just dropping for one of his other members to just play as well. Obviously, the rest of the season, they maybe don't feel that they're going to be able to go to the finals, of course, because it's pretty much set in stone, as we've said earlier. But there's loads of different changes at the moment. We might even see some new players. I mean, you know, Chafe is probably not even back from his trip yet to Australia, so we might even see Trekful on Monday. So I want to make sure I definitely get home for that. That man was ridiculous on Rev, and I've been saying it for the last week. But yeah, if there's any questions in the chat, please just do at Jebro Unity or at CT Heurix. I think you're CT Heurix in the chat, or at the Lord Helseth as well. I'm not sure if Paul's in there.
Paul Wall, Paulawl. Pretty sure. Yep, there you go.
There we go.
Right in the chat. There you go.
Awesome. So if you can have any questions directly, or you just want to direct them to us to ask these guys, of course you are more than welcome. We still have about 10 or 15 minutes so as well. So I mean, has anyone got any comments about the rest of the season and how they're feeling? Yeah, how are you feeling, Paul, about potentially that you could not go to the finals, and whether or not you feel the other teams who aren't in that top two are, you know, strong enough to kind of get up there, get up to where you guys are at the moment?
Well, obviously there's going to be potential that we don't finish in the top two, but I think our main concern is trying to go for 7-0 more than like worrying about not being in the top two more than anything. A lot of people on our team are really hoping to go 7-0 this season. I think it's definitely a possibility, but you know, our main concern is going to be Astral Authority. Definitely our biggest competition. But obviously there's some steps in the way. We have to face off against Gems and Tonic, which I guess most people would say we're favored in, and then we also have to face Never Lucky, which is of course going to be an important match, because that is basically going to be the match that guarantees our top two finish. But like I said, our main concern is like trying to go for the 7-0 season.
Wow, that's quite a lot of confidence. That's good. I mean, I think we've even seen individual progress from players, maybe, you know, from season one as well in Team PZ. I mean, you know, they've come a long way. They got some good experience when they went to LAN. Now you're in the team as well, and you know, seeing Team PZ in the finals would be pretty cool, because we'd have potentially, you know, 4 teams which actually have some kind of LAN experience where, you know, that's going to be very, very beneficial, and it's going to kind of give them, you know, that equal I guess level pegging in terms of morale and experience in terms of
No,
live.
sorry. The PC was in the finals.
I saw your face. I did see it, and I was wondering when that was going to come out. Do you want to continue?
I'm asking a legitimate question, which I would like to be answered. So I looked at I actually analyzed it. No, you're wrong, actually. Are we talking about the Pro League or are we talking about some other LAN? Because I watched the matches, right? Let me see here. So 55 qualified first in Europe, which guaranteed them to the finals. So they were in the finals right away. Absurd qualified from NA, so they played Vermilion, and then they got to the finals. That's 3 teams.
Any rebuttal?
Am I missing something?
I mean, I wasn't on the team at the time.
There you go.
It's none of my business.
Ooh.
So basically, TT didn't qualify. Both of us are agreeing right now. He doesn't know because he said he wasn't there. Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't there.
You gotta stick up for your team, man. You gotta stick up for your team.
This is it.
This is the moment, man. This is gonna define you, Paul. You gotta stick up for your team, man.
Well, they were there. They tried their best. And yeah, they had some pretty okay matches versus 55. That's about all I can say.
That's good. I'm looking up the results real quick. Sorry, I'm just uninformed. I'm actually really embarrassed about this. Sorry.
It happens to the best of us.
I'm glad that you're so on 100 points.
I would be interesting to see this matchup.
They could have just pushed Lord right away, you know? Sure. They could have pushed Lord and gotten 150 points instead of 100.
It's true.
150 is mathematically better than 100. So maybe if you qualify now, you should consider that tactic. You know, like 150 points, go out looking like champs.
I'll write that down in my playbook.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to say about everyone here's finals. Because Helseth, you've been to a couple LAN finals yourself.
Heurix, my friend,
saying,
are you really gonna trash talk in the place of the pro player? that alone says.
I'm trying to back up NA because All's not doing it. It's up to him right now. He's not doing it. I have to step forward,
right?
Man.
Well,
I have to step forward.
I'm just adjudicating here. That's all I'm doing.
Oh wait, hold on. The rebuttal. Let's go.
The thing is, like, let's just prove it at the LAN for this season. You know?
Oh come on. I mean,
who cares about last season? This season is all that's relevant now.
I like that a lot. So, yeah, that's a good idea. So at the LAN, assuming that we don't forget about you, we'll go ahead and get a great match going, and then we'll be like, yeah, which team was better and all that stuff. I'm gonna write this down. You got your playbook that you wrote down in. I'm gonna write down P. That's a C, right? Like Casper.
Yeah, definitely did.
Okay. Alright, okay.
My question is this final going to end with Helseth in the hospital again with a broken arm?
Oh god lord,
I've been working out. I'm going to go for the 2.0 verse now. I'm going to go for the 2.0.
Don't. It just makes...
So we do have a couple of questions I want to hit on. Not to draw away from this because I'm enjoying it, but we do have a couple of questions before I forget. Let's see. Someone asked if Helseth's team still has a shot at the finals. Would say that they're pretty much destined to be in the finals at this point. I don't think there's any chance that they won't make it to the finals. As far as Warriors go, it's certainly good in like solo queue setting, but in terms of competitive play, it's pretty easy. I feel like to kite and to lock down, and it's good against like getting into a druid and then like fighting it and taking it down pretty quick, but other than that there's not really much application for it. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I'd feel pretty similarly. Like, I've been testing it out since the patch came out. I used to play Warrior a lot, and honestly it feels okay, it just doesn't feel good enough, you know? It's like, just that's how it is. It's kind of like Dragon Hunter, I guess. It's like it has its things that it can do, I guess. I don't know, not much more to say really.
It's one of the bad classes, right? It's one of the bad classes. Yeah. Maybe it's too bad. Like
it's too bad.
I think it's certainly a lot better than where it was. I think you can walk into right? Yeah, you can walk into like once the new ranked season comes out, you can certainly queue up as Warrior and you can do fine, and people shouldn't hate on you for it. I feel like that's completely fair to say. But
it's
I wouldn't put it in a competitive matchup because it's in terms of like that professional level, the communication is just, it's way too easy to shut it down and to counter it, in my opinion, at that level alone. there was one more. What is the difference between EU and NA's meta right now, in your opinion? What matchup would you like to see in the finals and why? I mean, the thing is we haven't really seen a lot of what EU and NA are doing, and inside EU and inside NA, everyone's doing things a lot differently. We're seeing a lot of DPS stuff coming out from NA. Absurd ran during the MSI. I know a couple of teams are experimenting with different DPS comps, even full DPS comps, where the only, quote, tank is a druid.
Druids, yeah.
And obviously that's very, very aggressive and easy to counter, but if it works out, it's very, very powerful. So, like, I think in EU and NA, it's hard to compare the two metas because teams themselves are all doing things kind of differently inside of those inherent ecosystems. So it's hard to compare the two holistically.
It's like what Paul said earlier. I mean, you know, if the team hasn't got a player that can play, like, you can't, like, FIFA isn't just like one of those, it isn't like Rev where you can maybe pick it up and it's easy to learn, you know, there's a lot more to risk when you're going for that. So, you know, PZ, some teams who don't have a natural playing FIFA are just not going to pick that up, you know, I mean, it's just going to be a given. So we can predict some things, but, you know, and the teams that participate in the league, like you say, you know, I think what Paul said earlier was quite bang on there, really. Sorry, carry on. Just defeat
the matchup that I really want to see is just any game with TCG, because I love watching Helseth the first couple of weeks heading into a tournament talking about how they're going to destroy and everything, and then they just lose in the finals, and that's what I want to see.
So basically,
honestly, right now, I'm gonna make a modest prediction, like because like I realize that I set myself up for failure in a sense. So I'm gonna say this now, just as an apology to all of the fans of TCG, myself and all that shit. I genuinely apologize to everyone. How do I say this? I've let you down continuously by wanting to provide you guys quality games over and over and over again, trying to make the games as balanced and as competitive as possible. I've let you down by making sure that, like, the games are exciting, but then we lose. And at this point, I've decided that I'm gonna let you guys down even worse. We're just not gonna not try anymore, and we're just gonna actually play to win. And I think it's kind of unfair for me to do this because it's just going to completely destroy the scene and the excitement of the finals and whatnot. But it's just something I've decided to do. It's just about the priorities. At first, I wanted to have competitive games for the fans, but now I want to build a golden statue of myself, which means I want the first place pricing. So it's priorities. I'm letting the fans down, and we're just going to go ahead and stomp everyone in the finals. What do you think it's going to take to get to that
point, though? What do you think it's going to take? Because you're saying that you're going to be doing it, but what kind of changes are you planning on making to make that?
We're going to try.
You're going to try? So before you weren't trying, now you are.
No. Clearly not. We're always doing the swaggiest form of stuff, and now there will be no swag. There will only be efficiency, and everyone knows that. Like this is the only time it really matters. Like because now we'll try, you know. So all the other tournaments, like Paul said, because he's clearly one of the fans of TCG, he's looked it up and he said he doesn't care about the past because he knows that this is the only tournament that counts. Because we'll try. So I don't care what you have to say about the past, because honestly, it's not relevant, you know. Like it's like talking about, you know, like the arm wrestling thing. Like I destroyed Nos 1v1 right hand, and then I decided to break my own arm with a lefty. Like there's levels to this.
That's fair.
Yes.
There's levels to this.
That's fair.
He didn't cry though. That's one thing. I'll
just make the fans sad. I'll just make the fans sad and actually try. So.
Okay, because they've been obviously, you know, happy seeing you lose.
Well, they've been excited, you know. It's been excitement. Like I am a showman. I professionally, like I personally see myself more as a streamer than a like high-end player, but and I've continuously let that hurt me by trying to like entertain the masses. But at this point, like I'm just gonna go ahead and play to win instead of like swagging it up. Like it's unfortunate that the finals aren't exciting. I'm sorry that I'm killing the hype right now, but we're just gonna 500-0. Like I'm sorry.
So Helseth is predicting strong wins for TCG.
There might be some exciting semifinals or whatnot, though, like with the other teams. Right. So please at least tune in for the finals, and you can just go ahead and like tune out when we play because you know the results.
Okay, Paul. like assuming, obviously, you know, I mean, Helseth's just you know, he's going there in the finals and they're going to win. That's it. That's his feeling. You've still got things to do. This obviously, like you said earlier, you've still got, you know, big teams to go up against. You got Astral Authority and it was Never Lucky, wasn't
Never
it?
Lucky. Yep.
In the 6th week. So obviously, you've still got a lot of work to do to even get to that place. So your mind is obviously not in the. Is it in the finals? But because earlier you're talking about, you know, your focus is winning 7-0 for the season. So obviously you're thinking about finals.
Well, our focus is on the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get through the rest of the season first, and then we'll worry about the season land finals.
But you're pretty confident. Pretty confident.
Yeah,
At present.
I would say so.
Okay. So we've not got long left, but like I said, I do wish we had some games to look at from the first week. Obviously, of the
honestly, we
Predators
do.
coming
We
up.
do. Like I just whipped them
You
up.
have
We can go
the
through the
PG.
PC games of last season, and we could just analyze that, so we can predict how the land's gonna go.
Maybe
I mean,
that's
that's
something you
something,
could
right?
do on your own stream when we've only
The
got about 10
PZ
minutes,
last
so you
season
can
is
do
not the
that.
PZ this season, though, because the PZ last season catered to that kind of very defensive style. I feel like they've changed a lot because before they were kind of team fight centric and rotating into trying to win team fights, and now since they got destroyed at the LAN by Vermilion because of rotations, they've picked up a lot on that, and that's why they've been more competitive with Astral this season.
I mean, what we're going to do now is very quickly just go through some of the matchups of the Pro League on Monday. Obviously, we have the Pro League on Monday. People asking in chat, that is when we are coming back, and we have 3 more play days left. So let me just jump in here and grab EU Week preview first of all. And more Guns Than Roses won't even be AFKing in the base. They don't even have to turn up. They don't have to log into the game because their versus car crashed in their first series. And obviously they have been banned from Pro League. So they have got themselves a nifty little 3 points. Vermilion versus Super Smash. Now, Helseth, obviously we can talk about this together, but Super Smash ain't got a chance in hell, probably. In all honesty.
I mean, not even without Frosty. It's Super Smash. I don't think their ambitions is set on this season. Maybe they'll try harder next season. But I think this one, they're kind of in the same state that Purple Noise was, which they just want to play out the games, you know, and like experience the season. Then they'll try more next time, you know.
I think
it worked out for Purple Noise, right?
Yeah, no, agree completely. I mean, I am disappointed with Super Smash, actually, just because I think there is the potential, if they did, like we kind of said earlier, maybe do what Helseth is doing now, which is try a little bit harder. They could have done pretty well this season. I mean, you know,
they
strong
did get a
players.
great 2-0 win versus Car Crash, right? Like, that's well played to them. Well played.
That's very true indeed. Rank 55 Dragons going up against Purple Noise. Obviously, like you just said, you know, they've had a better season. They've been, you know, pulling together as the team. Their synergy, communication is there as well. Possibilities of pulling a game away from Rank 55 Dragons?
I mean, yeah, like with screen rank 55, it's like here and there, and this is what I can say. XP is an idiot that can't manage his internet connection. So you know, like maybe he'll lag, maybe he'll oversleep. He does that quite regularly and just doesn't show up. Maybe you know, there's all sorts of possibilities where Purple Noise might be able to clutch out the win. But as long as TXP doesn't like not play, I think rank 55 is pretty set.
Okay. And then you are going up against...
Before, sorry. Everyone in the chat do an OS sloth, please. Right, yeah, sorry.
Then you're versus Orange Logo.
Yeah, Orange Logo probably doesn't have the most competitive aim for the season now, after everything that's happened. So, they'll probably play for fun, generally, like what they did last time. Tage wants probably to play his Guardian, Find will play Thief, and which necessarily isn't bad that Find is playing Thief, but like when you're playing Guardian and Thief, it's probably not top tier meta.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Sin's going to have a bit of a better time, but you never know. I mean, it might do a little bit better, but like you say, obviously versus you guys as well. Like if we were seeing Orange Logo, say, versus Super Smash now, or, you know, Purple Noise now, or whatever.
I think
Might be a
Guardian's
bit
one of those things, might be the thing that teams haven't really given an honest crack at. I mean, teams have obviously given tries at Thief again, Same as Warrior with the new patch with
Favorite
Gandhi,
part about playing
Warrior.
Guardian is if the enemy team plays an Ellie and a Retribution Revenant, you might as well just log off and lose the game. Like,
Well, that
you're just
or
completely hard countered.
NG. Or NG. So like any of those things, the projectile hate with Ellie and NG together, and then certainly the Retro Rev
Yeah, it's
having.
like the Guardians, in my
ridiculous.
opinion, it's horrible now because
It's too slow.
the
It's got
bow
no
5.
mobility, everything.
The main
I mean,
problem
it was
is, like,
just nerf too.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
literally just got a 20% damage nerf on your shot.
The biggest nerf to that is definitely the bow 5. You could just dodge at the end of the cast. That makes it useless. Like,
I mean, think about it though. Like, if it was all like what I would call like hit scans instead of projectiles, where it just did damage, Guardian would be incredibly strong. But the fact that it's all based on projectiles, I mean, think about it: sword, autos, as well as sword 2, projectiles, great sword 2, projectiles, every longbow skill except for the 3 because it's unblockable, projectiles. I mean, everything that's good about it is like a projectile and easily counterable with all of the plethora of skills that are available through like Elementalist and NG and all that stuff, where it's just ruined because of that. But if it was just instant damage and that didn't have projectiles, it would actually be pretty good. It's so easy to counter because
it was
of
a
that.
completely different class. It's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Wisdom
Exactly.
Hour with Heurix.
Yes.
Next
So
up,
nothing
we're
should
gonna
keep the
see
damage
what
the
if
same,
Ellie's couldn't
keep
take
everything the
damage.
same, but leave the projectile part out so it can't get reflected, and it's perfect. It's amazing. It's great.
Someone
Bow
mentioned,
is no longer a projectile.
obviously, guys, when we're talking about these things, we are talking about PvP if you've just looked into the game. Like someone said, I assume, you know, World v World is fine with Guardians. I'm sure it's other places in the game, but in terms of our competitive arena at the moment, we're basically saying it's not got a place, and that's just basically the end of it.
5v5 Conquest, boys.
NA. Nope, that's the wrong screen. Go to that one. Okay, so NA times. If you and Paul want to have a little look through this, I mean, you got Final Form versus Astral Authority in the first week. Start from there. Might be a nice one to look at anyway.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be probably one of the most important matches of the season. I think Final Form actually showed that they can kind of go toe to toe with that Thief comp that they're currently running, and I'd like to see. I don't know if they can beat them, but I think it would be a possibility. Like, I don't think it's out of the question. I think one thing that I think that should be mentioned with Thieves coming back is that there's likely to be the return of Retribution Revenants. I think Retribution does really well against Thieves, so you're likely to see that. And I think maybe just even that like one adjustment could be what actually might just make Thief seem not good enough. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
haven't
Like,
really toyed around with it too much.
if you play Invo, then Thief is good. But like that,
Yeah.
that's why I was so surprised when I saw VM actually play. That they played Invo. Like it's a given that you just switch to Retri and
Yeah,
then you just
'cause-
counter Thief instead of get countered.
The thing is, like, you just give Thief one more extra target if you play Invocation, and like, why do
Yep.
you even want to do that to yourself? You don't want to do that, so... It's been a little bit of a new thought for my own team as well. Like, how good could Retribution be now that Thief's back in the meta? And, I don't know, I'd like to see what happens.
Thing is, when you the way it works for the people that don't know about the Pro League rules is that when you pick a class before your match on the Monday start, right? Like you basically lock in the classes you have to. You send an email to an admin. They see the classes you're gonna play, and then both teams log in with this. And then if you find that you're countered by the enemy team, you're not allowed to make rerolls. You know, you're stuck in this composition until you've at least played one game. So Revenants can reroll to Retribution by just swapping builds, which is entirely allowed. But if you lock in as a Thief and you get countered, then you're stuck with Thief. Which people, which might be what forces Thief out of the metagame, basically.
Yep. I think it'll be... I don't know. We faced Final Form, we've seen that they're already willing to run Retribution Revenant, so I'd like to see what they can do. It'll be a very important match, like, it is going to be very important for the top two. Especially for Abjurd, like... They could get pushed out if we
Yes.
manage to beat them too, so...
Especially with Chaith being out all off season, that they were using track. I mean, are they going to be using the same comp that they used during MSI? Are they going to be doing something different? Are they going to be using Chaith at all in this first week back? I mean, there's a lot of questions in regards to that, and it's completely, at least in my opinion, up in the air because Final Form has proven that they can potentially counter it if Astral does run that. But at the same time, Astral is a really solid team, and to count them out at any stage is completely naive.
Yeah, I will say my money is on Astral. I just think it's not out of the realm of possibility that Final Form could, like, at least take a game, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Anyone wanna bet? I'll put 500 gold on Astral. Any?
I don't think anybody would be dumb enough to take that
Okay,
bet.
okay. I'll put 500 gold on Final Form. Any takers? Right here. Confirm.
I don't even have 500 gold, dude. I'm out here at
How
poor
much gold do
life.
you got?
I'm too poor.
How much gold you got?
I'm out here
With
at poor
PvP.
life.
Where's my gem scrouch?
Anyone? I'll take any bet. I'll take any bet of any interesting match. If this is an interesting match, I'll take any bet.
There you go, guys, in chat.
So, chat's not important. I don't care about chat. Look at
Yeah,
chat.
you do. Yeah, you do. What about your viewers? I'm sure they care.
Well,
Let's
I
go
have a
over
lot of
to...
viewers. You know.
While it's very important to talk about you, let's talk about match 2. Spooky
Right.
versus Never Lucky.
I think we'd probably be both in agreement that Never Lucky is probably going to be taking that fairly handedly.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Okay.
Team names, gee.
Gems and Tonic PZ.
What is this?
Again,
Wow,
probably
that-
probably in agreement. Same thing
Yeah.
in favor of PZ in that one.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
then we've got Edri versus Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy as well.
I think that's like an important matchup for Easy Peasy, and I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything, but eDream has lost a member to Never Lucky. Bear is left to go and play for Never Lucky now. So
Yeah.
I don't even know who eDream's 5th member is actually. And eDream was actually playing well, like in the match versus Never Lucky on week 4, but they just had that unfortunate incident where Eternity couldn't play anymore, so
Crap.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think eDream has always been a team that I felt like had a lot of potential, but it just
I
they've
think
been kind of
Hypnos-
unlucky so far. They've had a really hard season so far. They faced like a lot of the top teams already, and now maybe it's time for them to put the pedal to the metal and just start blazing it for the end of the season.
Yeah, I think Bear went to Never Lucky, and I think Hypno is taking his place on eDream, if I'm not mistaken. Which certainly isn't a bad pickup because Hypno was previously a Pro League player himself. So
Yeah, he's a good Revenant, so
Okay. So that's pretty much what we've gone. We've gone through the previews. Obviously, guys, some people asking in chat as well when it starts. It's back Monday. So it's going to be 7 p.m. CEST, 6 p.m. BST in UK, of course, for EU, if you know those times. And then NA's 5 p.m. Pacific, right? Heurix?
yep.
5 p.m. Okay. So those are your regions. Obviously, we've just been through the games and the series. We've only got three player days left, guys. You know, we've got finals coming end of June as well. So it's, you know, pedal to the metal and everything like that. We're going to see the meta kind of evolve from in a couple of days, which is, you know, bloody exciting with the, you know, potential to see Thief coming back, which I really hope we do see at some point in time, knowing the potential for the FIFA and Rev that we saw over on Saturday. Whether or not that's going to be the case or not, we will have to wait and see.
I mean, it's certainly very. I wouldn't even say it's a potential. I think it's very likely that we'll see Thief come back. The
Some
question
teams,
is it
yeah.
gonna stay? That's the biggest question.
I mean, like,
we'll probably see it first
in my
day,
opinion,
but
even if it's not top tier, it's always going to be playable. It's going to be playable. Like, you'll be able to compete with it at the highest level. Now, whether it's optimal or not, it's another question. There's also the question of, do you actually want to bring a Thief to a LAN? Let's say that Thief is just as good as a non-Thief comp. Do you want to take a Thief player to the LAN and gamble on that? Because it's a really hard to play role, you know, and people always play worse at LANs. Like, I think Toker's been like the most consistent Thief, but it's in LANs, but it's still, you know, like, when you play a really mechanical class, you're not just worrying about making the plays left and right and all that stuff. You're also worrying about not dying to random stuff and all that stuff. It's really risky to run the Thief. So there's a lot of questions there. But no matter what, Thief is definitely like meta-ish. Like, you can play it for sure.
We've got a new phrase there, meta-ish. We can do that. Anything else you guys want to say before we go? Because we're running a little bit over at the moment. Any comments? Looking at you mainly, Helseth.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'll say that I'll make Paul pay for all this Mac talk he did. Okay. Went too far.
Just don't
All
have
the,
an arm
all the
wrestling
smack
match.
talk Paul did today, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big shit talker, let's be honest here.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Aside
Okay.
from that, please everyone watching, tune in on Monday. It's actually gonna be it's gonna be very much worth checking out. Like if you haven't checked out the Pro League before, be sure to do that. At the very least, do yourself the favor of watching TCG play. The other teams are less relevant. Aside from that, there's not much else for me to say. Peasants and Kings, you know the deal.
Cool.
Can I give shoutouts, or are you just leaving
Sure,
it
go
the
for it, my
section?
friend, go for
I
it.
mean, shout out Team PZ, obviously. Like, check out our Twitter. I want you guys to come to teampz.com. Like, we need more everything. Like, come and buy our merchandise. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do anything you want.
That's
and
true.
please check out my stream. Like, I'm in chat. You can see me.
What's
I'll
your
type,
stream?
And twitch.tv/Paulawl, Paulawl. And I stream, like, pretty often. Like, I can only stream unranked right now, so that's what you're gonna have to deal with. But I like to also talk about, like, balanced discussions, stuff like that. I've had, like, some interesting things I've done in the past is stuff like that too.
Did you were doing a little bit of a balance pass? Was that
Yeah,
you?
I did.
Yeah,
I did like
I
a
watched
full
that.
balance pass on like everything in the game. I looked at like I glanced over a few things, but I looked at like everything in the
Yeah.
game. I made a big spreadsheet. I'll probably put that on like my stream or something. I don't know. Like I was doing that to submit to ArenaNet.
That was good.
Whether they'll take it or not, I don't know. You know.
Yeah, let's definitely do that, guys. Definitely
It's
do
the
that.
kind of thing that I'm interested in. So if that interests you as well, like you can check out my stream. I'll probably do more stuff like that in the future.
Sweet as. Otherwise, make sure you check out their Twitters as well. That's at team_PZ for Paul and his team. Helseth is at the.
Oh,
Lord
you don't need to.
Helseth.
You don't need to. You don't need to. Everyone knows.
They already know. Heurix is at CT Heurix. I'm at Jebro.
Yeah, nobody knows. You should definitely do mine. Yeah.
Otherwise, we've been your crew for this evening on Points. We'll see you next Friday. We only have 3 more shows for the rest of the season, I believe. Today was probably our 10th. So good job so far. Again, thank you guys for joining us this evening. We will see you guys on Monday, so make sure you join us. Take care. See you later.